Hello, everyone. Ryan from the Canadian Football Countdown here, bringing you the second episode of our CFL Free Agency 2023 mini preview series. This time, we're going to be talking all about the running backs, the ones that are available, the team needs, and where these running backs may land. We're previewing a position a day here, leading up to our big free agent frenzy show, Tuesday, February 14th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We will be live 8 hours of live coverage and analysis of the official opening of CFL Free Agency. You can join us over on a variety of platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and the Game Time TV YouTube page, thanks to our presenting sponsor. Just search at CF Countdown Pod on most of those platforms and you will find us. Make sure you subscribe ahead of time to catch all of the action and join us that day. But for today, let's talk running backs here as I flip over to our free agent tracker. And let's start off with the team. Let's start off with who's under contract, what team needs are, and then we'll take a look at the options that are available. So let's start with the teams that are fully set, and I don't expect to see too much movement at the running back position. One of those has to be the Calgary Stampeders. I mean, Kadeem Carey, one of the top rushers in the league, 1,000-yard season for him last year, 10 touchdowns on the ground. Fantastic year for Kadeem Carey. And he had some real good support from some backups there as well when he missed time due to injury. Dedrick Mills looked really good in a couple of starts there. And Peyton Logan, that dynamic back who also, pitches in on the punt returns, which is kind of his main role, 1,500 return yards for him there last season. The Stampeders looking pretty set at the running back position coming into 2023. Another team that's looking pretty good, I think, is the Montreal Alouettes. William Stanback did go down in the first or second game of the year last year, came back late October and got in for a couple games, 5 games total. Wasn't quite the William Stanback we're used to seeing in the past in terms of explosiveness. In fact, they kind of split his role, maybe eased him back into it a little bit. Well, he's back this year. He's got a full offseason, full training camp. I'm expecting we see a big bounce back from William Stanback. And he's got a nice, solid backup in Joshua Antwi behind him, who pitched in 600 rushing yards last year as well. So I think the Alouettes are a team that is probably going to be rolling with these two running backs going into this season. Another team that is fully set is Saskatchewan Roughriders. This is a position I would say the Riders are the strongest at. Jamal Morrow, breakout at the start of last season, took over the starting role after they elected to go without William Powell coming into 2022, moved on from him, gave the job to Jamal Morrow. He was one of the top running backs in the first couple weeks of the season, did end up going down due to an injury and missing a lot of time for the Riders, which is when Frankie Hickson came in, and he also looked great, and they had a bit of a dynamic duo going between those two. Well, they brought them both back for this year. They're two great backs. They can, really help the offense. The question is going to be, will they get utilized properly, right? That was Jason Maas's offensive game plan. Didn't really use the running backs as much. But now, running back coach for the Riders, Kelly Jeffrey, getting promoted to offensive coordinator. Could we see more of a focus on the run game in Saskatchewan? Darn, I sure hope so. That would be the case. Winnipeg Blue Bombers are also pretty set at the running back position, as they have Brady Oliveira and Johnny Augustine as their 1 and 2 punch of Canadian running backs back once again. Oliveira taking over the role after the Bombers moved on from Andrew Harris and putting up 1,000 yards in his first season as the starter there. A very good year for a young Canadian running back who's only 25 years old. Johnny Augustine also looking decently well in relief. He had some good moments last season as well. And Greg McRae rotated in at both running back and wide receiver at times as kind of a third string extra option when guys went down. So the Bombers have some good depth at this position as well. And a team I'm very excited for at running back this year is the Edmonton Elks. Kevin Brown came in late last season, only played 7 games, but put up 486 yards on the ground, also almost 200 through the air as well. He was the most explosive that the Elks running game looked all of last season as he came in down the stretch. And they elected to give him another 2-year contract. He's under contract through 2024 now, coming into this year. And I think he's a younger piece or a fresher piece to kind of build the future core of this team around. So I'm really excited to see what they get from him in a full year. Ante Milanovic-Litre, they obviously like what they see in him as well. They signed him back for another season here, a Canadian running back / fullback role for him generally. James Wilder Jr., technically under contract through 2023, but you haven't heard too much about what his role is going to be with the team, whether he will be back with the team this season and in what capacity that will be. Wilder obviously great, couple seasons there in his career, did miss a lot of time due to injury also last season, which kind of ended his season there. So if they bring him back and have him as a 1-2 punch with Kevin Brown, yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. A team that I think could be set at the running back position, but could also use a bit of an upgrade potentially, is the Ottawa Red Blacks. Devontae Williams and Jackson Bennett are the top 2 running backs under contract for them right now, with William Powell being a free agent. Devontae Williams, 8 games last year, 450 yards rushing. Jackson Bennett got a couple starts down the stretch, and I thought looked like a good potential running back there. He's a guy, he can pitch in on the returns. He can pitch in the receiving game a little bit here and there as well. I would like to see them roll with a guy like Jackson Bennett, a Canadian running back, as their starter and give him more of a role. He's always kind of had the potential, but even in Hamilton, but never really got given the chance to be, a true starter or given more opportunities than he has been. So I could see them going and getting maybe an upgrade if one's available in free agency, but I could also see the Red Blacks looking to stick with the options they have under contract. Now, which teams are going to need a starter here? The first one is the BC Lions, who have yet to re-sign James Butler, leaving fullback David Mackey, the only running back from last season that had any sort of playing time really with the team in a running back role on the roster. Obviously, they're going to need to bring in a starter. Probably going to want to bring in a backup as well. I know they brought in Tavian Feaster already, who was a 3rd or 4th string role with the Montreal Alouettes last season, did get in for a couple of starts. But if they can't get James Butler back, I think the Lions are a team that's going to need to look elsewhere and make a big splash at this position in free agency. Another team likely looking to make some sort of move here, whether it's a starter, whether it's a backup or a 1A, 1B type situation, is the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Sean Thomas Erlington was just recently brought back for another season here. Don Jackson seemingly retiring from the CFL. Sean Thomas Erlington showed promise a couple of seasons ago. And I was really hyped for him coming into the last couple of years. But it seems like, the Ticats never really ran the ball, never gave him the opportunities. It was a split back situation a lot of times. So I'm intrigued to see if they're electing to fully go in his direction. But I think the Ticats are a team that is going to need a bit of depth here at running back, no matter what. And, Farhan Lalji of TSN reporting that they're pursuing James Butler. Yeah, if they can bring James Butler in, I like that a lot for the Ticats. I think he's one of the best running backs in the league. I think he's a very underrated running back, and that's definitely a guy they could bring in to help alleviate a bit of the load on new quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell that they signed to a 3-year deal. Another team, and then finally, the Toronto Argonauts are a team with some question marks at running back because Andrew Harris is a free agent and also obviously questionable whether he retires this year or not or is coming back for another season. AJ Ouellette, also a free agent. So that leaves them with Daniel Adamaboye on as their top running back under contract, a 2022 draft pick, I believe 2nd round pick for the team that they're obviously high on, and they want to see him grow. But is he ready to be the starter yet? That I'm not sure. He's still pretty young. If you look at the free agent chart here, it says age not available. That's because it's not actually listed in the CFL's official data that I'm pulling for this. But I know, 2022 draft pick, you can assume he's younger in age there and still, has room to grow. So do they look to bring in a veteran running back? or another option to kind of give him more opportunities there. Javon Leake also, primarily in a return role last season for the Argos. So now let's take a look at the options that are available for these teams looking to make a move here. As I mentioned, James Butler is the top option at the running back position and should be pursued heavily, I think, by any of these teams that are looking to get a new starter at running back. Over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns on the ground. Also did a lot of great work in the receiving game last year. 58 targets, caught 91% of them, almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air. Yeah, real good season for James Butler there as he started to get a little more usage by the BC Lions. AJ Ouellette seemed like he was a bit of a breakout player. He was lower on the depth chart for a couple years for the Argos and got into some premium time as a starter when Andrew Harris went down last season. Didn't get heavily used in the run game a whole ton, but in the receiving game is where he shined a lot as well. Almost 900 all-purpose yards for AJ Ouellette last season. Would like to see the touchdown numbers come up a little bit, but I think he's a guy that you could rotate into a 1A, 1B type situation for a team looking for that. Andrew Harris, I really think he should retire. I mean, you've won 3 straight Grey Cups. You've had the injury issues. You only played 8 games last season. You're never going to go out on top better than you have with 3 straight Grey Cup wins. So I would like to see him hang up the cleats here at 36 years old. But that being said, he's going to keep playing as long as he thinks he can keep playing at a top level. So do the Argos try to bring him back for another season? Does Harris look to go elsewhere once again here? That is one of the biggest question marks to iron out at running back this year. Walter Fletcher is an intriguing name to me because this is a guy I was really high on coming into last season. The year before, he had a couple games where he got in with the Elks and looked really explosive down the stretch. He ended up getting traded over to Montreal after William Stanback went down, split the time with Jeshurun Antwi, and not a bad season here for him as well, racking up almost 500 yards on the ground, 350 through the air for Walter Fletcher. I think he's a guy that, if given more of an opportunity, has that ability to have some big games and really carry a team at running back. So could be a potential, again, a lot of these guys 1A, 1B situations where they could fit in. Wes Hills got in 6 games last year for the Ticats, was their starter for a little bit down the stretch there, here and there. It looked good in those games, put up 384 yards in his 6 games he played last season, but it's hard to gauge because the Ticats did run the ball so little, it seemed at times, they'd run the ball, but they'd run it with their wide receivers a lot as well. So not a ton of running back usage there. I don't know if that, what he showed was enough for a team to kind of jump on him as a 1A, 1B type situation. But surely he's a guy that could fill, a second string, a third string role for a team looking to add some depth at the running back position. William Powell, he's been a great running back for many years. He's getting up there at 35 years of age. He's been having injury issues last season, only played 7 games for the Ottawa Red Blacks. I would say there's question marks about his future in the CFL here as well. Is there a team still wanting to take a chance on bringing him in as a starter here? Is a big question mark to me as well. Given the injury history and given the kind of decline in his production, I feel like over the last couple of years as well. So wouldn't be surprised to see a team try to bring him in as a big piece here in free agency. Wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of not signed on that first day either and waiting to see how some of these other dominoes fall. Those are the major names at the running back position. You obviously have some others here as well. Shaq Cooper, he's bounced around between a couple of teams after a promising start to his career in Edmonton. Hasn't really stuck around anywhere yet, but seems like teams like to keep giving him a chance. And then a couple more depth running backs here as well at the bottom of the charts here. So Not a super deep crop of running back options here in free agency, but a lot of the teams are set at the position. So it's really those few teams, Hamilton, BC, Toronto. Those are the teams I have my eyes on the most, and looking to see where some of these pieces fit in. That is your running back preview for today for CFL Free Agency 2023. Stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll be taking a look at the wide receivers. And once again, make sure you check out Free Agent Frenzy 2023 on February 14th, our full 8-hour show. We have lots of content planned, lots to talk about, I'm sure, as all of the rumored deals, are starting to come out already. So make sure you subscribe over on YouTube. Also, let us know in the comments section where you think some of these top free agents at running back will land, and stay tuned for more content to come here on the Canadian Football Countdown.